right, let's ring the bell, fellas. Welcome once again to Ringside right now. We're just five wrestling marks who love to talk about everything current going on in wrestling, as well as talking about the present and future of this business we love. I'm your host, Pierre, and with me today we have Clint, we got Curtis, and we got Jonathan. We are down one today, Calvin. Hey, maybe I'll be able to catch him next time. Mr. No Name nickname himself. But anyway, before we get started, be sure to like this video, share it with somebody. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel as well. And ring that notification bell just so you know anytime we drop new videos and things like that for this channel. So before going forward, we're dealing with our topics today. And one of the first topics, the new world title for WWE. Triple H debuted this on Raw this past week. And there's been a lot of backlash, no pun intended, if you will, about the design of this
Aha.
belt. Aha. So, I mean, it's not as good as this,
Well,
but
I
Nothing
mean,
will ever
what
be
what
as
it
good
is
as
is
what
that.
it
what
is. So,
is?
Yeah, that's a class.
the big goal, baby. But hey, but you've got guys tell me what are your opinions of what you think about this new belt design?
I thought
Uh,
it was a belt buckle.
I mean, the design is not too bad. It's like a combination of the big gold and the current title. So design, I really don't have a problem with. I think it's a decent looking belt. It's got a big fat W in the middle, but all of their belts do. My issue is the need for a belt at all. So it's basically the we can't beat Roman belt. It's the Universal Championship Part 2, pretty much. You guys can't beat Roman, so we're going to give you a participation trophy. And it's stupid. It would have been stupid in the 80s if we had done this when Hogan was champ. Oh, you guys can't beat Hogan, so we're going to have a second championship. So the guys who can't beat Hogan can have a belt. Or you guys can't beat Bruno, so we're going to have a second world championship for the guys who can't beat Bruno Sammartino. You see how stupid that sounds? You're basic, and then they try to put it off as well. Roman made it deal so that he doesn't have to defend the title as much. No, you make the champion defend the title until
Remember
someone.
when you win the title every 30 days? Remember that when that was a stipulation and they stripped you if you didn't?
Traditionally, that is a stipulation, and they just decide to do away with that for some odd reason to make up for Roman's part-time schedule. But I mean, in the past, champions didn't defend their belts every 30 days. Hogan didn't defend it every 30 days. He defended it at every pay-per-view. So that's what, 4 times a year? They would, he would show up on TV, cut a few promos, and you wouldn't actually see him wrestle until the pay-per-view or until Saturday Night Main Event or whatever big deal that was. But because he's the champion, it's an attraction. So he doesn't have to show up every week. And that's fine. I'm fine with Roman not showing up every week. But I don't think you need to create a new title because of that. Splitting the titles, maybe, okay, great. But creating a whole new world title with no lineage, just boom, here's a belt. It doesn't make sense to me. I wouldn't want to wrestle for that belt.
I kind of agree to a point. Now, I think that whole 30-day thing, they used to acknowledge it in the current generation, but they did away with that when Brock started holding the the Universal title, seems like forever.
Well,
And
that 30-day rule also is for storyline purposes. You put it in when you feel the need to. If there's a heel who's running from defending the belt, then you would have Jack Tunney come on screen and say, hey, he has to defend the belt within, however
but
many days.
at least other guys were defending it at least every pay-per-view. But like you said, my issue isn't the design of the belt. Good looking belt and everything. I like it, but I mean, you could do a whole lot worse as far as designs. But to kind of, yeah, I agree, but kind of for a different reason. Now, like you said, actually, it's kind of the same reason. But either way, you got a bunch of people who couldn't beat Roman, and and Triple H was acknowledging the whole Roman situation. And that's what I felt like cheapens the belt. Now, if you want to say, hey, Roman could be drafted to another brand, which leaves this brand without a title, go with that. But you're basically saying, okay, like you said, we have a bunch of people who can't beat Roman. So here's this participation trophy. And I feel like that really cheapens it because look at Raw, or at least as it says, we're going to talk about that as far as the draft. But as far as top guys right now, I only see two people on the list who haven't lost to Roman, and that's Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
And I would be fine with either of them being the first person to win the title because you don't want your first champion to be a guy who took a shot at Roman and failed because you're gonna make them look like, okay, this is what I'm getting for at least trying but failing against Roman Reigns. You want to at least make your first champion look good.
Yeah, I think the worst thing they can do is give Cody that belt. And I really hope that's
that's
not the plan.
worst possible. I was going to get to that. But you beat me to the punch. But that is the absolute worst thing WWE can do. You don't want to give Cody the belt. And even if he does, and let's say he does get the belt just for the sake of the argument, and then he eventually goes on to beat Roman, then what was the point?
The Galactic Champion, then.
Yeah.
The Galactic Champion.
But it still speaks to the point that WWE, because of Roman's schedule, you basically had your biggest show without the champ on the show for the better part of Roman's title run so far. So I could understand maybe the sentiment behind it, but you guys are right. As far as it does seem more like a participation trophy, and the fact that if you're going to put Roman on one show exclusively, what are you going to do?
I
And
mean,
like there's no guys stepping up to really
okay,
snatch
so
it from him.
Here's my thing. I will just split the belts. I will say, look, because we're drafting and because he's going to be on this brand exclusively, it's going to leave another brand without a belt. We're going to split the belts. So whatever brand he's drafted to, we will be, let's say, because he's started off with the Universal title when that's the big deal of his reign, the 1,000-day reign he's going towards, then we're going to allow him to keep the Universal title. We will unfortunately be stripping him of the WWE title, and we'll hold a tournament on Raw or SmackDown or what have you for the new champion. And oh, by the way, here's a new belt to represent the new WWE championship or the new whatever. The new belt.
This is my.
I'm not mad at the new belt. I'm mad at the new championship. If you get where I'm going with that.
I got what you're saying.
Yeah.
This is my thing though. Triple H did commission this belt not too long after he took over control when Vince did step down for real the first time. So maybe this is Vince's call to put a belt out there now that this merger has been complete. Because maybe at one point this championship would have been the merger of the two belts Roman have, and this would have been the one belt that they have. But I'm getting the feeling that Vince made this call to put a championship now outside of Roman to kind of be like, okay, this brand's going to have this one exclusive championship and Roman's going to have his over here. Like I said, I feel like Triple H called for the design, but I think Vince is calling for the situation that the championship was created for.
Yeah, I kind of get that.
I can see that.
So, Nuxie, you got anything you want to add?
Yeah, when I first saw the belt, I thought it looked like a dinner plate or a rodeo belt buckle, but it's not. It's all right.
Oh my gosh.
I will say about AEW, that belt is beautiful. Their title belt is beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, they have a lot of
It
great
is
belt
a very
designs.
beautiful.
Guys, it's like Roman is God. I mean, maybe they should change Jericho's name from Jimmy God and give it to Roman Reigns because I'm with you guys. They should just split the belts, let him keep one, and put the other one on the other brand. By the way, I understand now why they drafted more people to Raw. It's a 3-hour show instead of SmackDown being a 2-hour show. So obviously,
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get to the draft part a little bit later to kind of discuss how the draft has played out so far. But Nuxie, yeah, that guy will be involved with the second part. But you did kind of segue a little bit with AEW because there was a big debut in AEW.
Yeah.
Roderick
Yes.
Strong has shown
Yes.
up to help shock the system to assist Adam Cole as he's going against Jericho Appreciation Society, along with a little help from Orange Cassidy and Bandito, which is a little bit of an odd call. But let's not take away from the fact that Roderick Strong is now he is all elite and will be helping out Adam Cole with this. Now, I'm not sure how long it's going to be till Kyle O'Reilly comes back, and we know Bobby Fish is out as far as being an AEW, so we still have three-quarters of that.
Actually, that was one of the first things I looked at when first of all, to go back to what you said first with Orange Cassidy and Bandito, yeah, it was kind of random. And my first thought was, why the hell are they out there? And then as soon as Roderick Strong came out, all was forgiven and forgotten. Like, I don't care.
Exactly.
Roddy's here. Yes, I don't care. And then I immediately went online. Okay, what's the status of Kyle O'Reilly? What's the status of Bobby Fish? Bobby Fish is actually not under any contract with anyone right now. I thought he was under contract with Impact, but apparently that was just a temporary deal.
Right.
He is a free agent, so fingers crossed, and if we can get Kyle O'Reilly to come back soon, come on, let's do it.
Yeah, the Undisputed Era once again.
And let me also add, a lot of people were pardon the pun, shocked in regards to this debut. I was able to confirm it was actually now Roderick Strong did ask for a release back during his WWE time at WWE. It was denied. His deal did end this past November. So now, of course, why he spent so much time off, who knows? But his deal did expire, so there was no compete clause in that regard. However, he is back. Good to see him back. Now, love to see Kyle O'Reilly because I'm a big Kyle O'Reilly fan. Now, it might be coming sooner than you think, but
hopefully.
But again, always like to see it. Now, my concern is, how's he going to get booked? Because remember, they did have both O'Reilly and Bobby Fish in AEW, and that didn't exactly go all that great.
In their defense, injuries kind of derailed that.
Right. Kyle O'Reilly got hurt.
Yeah, they didn't really get a chance to go where they were going with that storyline because of the injury, so that's why.
They're going to wrestle the Elite, right? They're going to wrestle.
Yeah, that was the plan.
Yeah, that was the original plan.
Didn't Bobby leave AEW on bad terms, I thought?
I don't think it was so much bad terms. He had like a short-term deal and just decided to go elsewhere.
He did have some backstage heat, though. He did have some backstage heat before he left out. So I think that was because he had said some things on Twitter and whatnot that a lot of the backstage people were kind of like, "Hey, bro, what are you doing?"
Oh, I think I do remember that. Yeah.
Sure, but never say never in wrestling. But Roddy is a former Ring of Honor champion. He's an incredible wrestler. That was a shocking debut that no one even saw coming.
Yeah.
So, great. I think he'll be great for AEW. It's another great wrestler, and they could use him on Ring of Honor if they want to too, because he's got a lineage there.
Absolutely.
Exactly, because they do Claudio. If they do Claudio like that, why not use Roddy as well?
Claudio did a great match too, man.
Yeah,
I was thinking that.
If they bring O'Reilly and Fish back, I mean, can you imagine the Undisputed Era? Or I guess it'd be the Undisputed Elite on there, but that's another great faction to have. I mean, you got lots of factions. They're going to split the shows and brands, I think, anyway. So you'd have two shows. So they can't go wrong with that. At least, I mean, I will say one thing about Tony: he knows how to sign good talent. So
yeah,
he doesn't completely know at the time. And I also just read that they're going to do All In, and then a week later, All Out. I didn't know that was going to happen, but apparently it is.
Yeah, I don't know why they're doing that because that makes no sense. I mean, you have to look at who's going to want to buy two pay-per-views back to back. Now, am I going to do it?
Right.
Maybe. I'm not gonna lie, maybe, but I don't want to.
Nobody expected Roderick Strong out here, especially the JS. But least of all, perhaps, Adam Cole. He looks as stunned as we are. Yes! Yes!
Well, my only question is because now you're getting ready to start a new show, Collision, on top of all this, and you got a roster of 150 wrestlers. I mean, good Lord,
Yeah.
you got to have some sort of direction with all this, even with bringing in someone like Roddy. It's like still, the fear, like you guys are saying, what are you going to do with him? And how are you going to do this as an overall arc of like your storytelling and things like that? And then with the pay-per-views back to back, I mean, come on, Tony, what's going on here?
Didn't they just got rid of Dark Elevation too? So there's I don't was that an hour-long show every week? So there's some more time gone. And are they going to get rid of Rampage and replace it with?
That's my question. Where are they going to do a Rampage? Because you've got 2 days back to back of shows. One of those days could easily have been a Ring of Honor show. So I don't know why they're not doing that. Make Rampage, give that time slot to Ring of Honor and have Collision on Saturday. I don't know why they're not doing that.
I saw something on Wrestle Planet that said that they're actually working with. They might be making a deal with HBO Max or something, and so they may have more programming other than Collision coming. So maybe Tony knows what's going on, we don't, and maybe he's got a plan. I
hope so.
But we'll see. But having a pay-per-view a week after the other one to me is insane because they don't know how to build storylines. We've talked about that. It's like,
oh yeah.
Are you going to have something that spills over from All In to All Out a week later? Is that going to even be
so All Out is going to pretty much be All In Backlash?
Yeah, well, All In.
Because, I imagine you're going to want to book top angles and top storylines to sell out Wembley. So what's going to be left for a week later?
Yeah, All In jet lag, because there should be jet lag for the evening by the time I get back.
Oh, my gosh.
That's exactly what it's going to be. But of course, as we've been saying, when it comes to AEW, time will tell how a lot of this will play out, especially now with some of the recent pairings you've been seeing going on as far as the matches, and now with Roddy back, we'll definitely see how that goes going forward. So also that occurred this week during SmackDown, we had the WWE Draft.
Yeah.
Which was quite interesting. We had basically 4 rounds on SmackDown with, of course, Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, and Solo Sikoa as a group being drafted over to SmackDown exclusively, and Cody being drafted over to Raw. And, of course, some other notables, Bianca Belair is now moving to SmackDown. The Street Profits and Edge are in SmackDown along with Bobby Lashley and the OC, meaning the Good Brothers, AJ Styles and Michin, Damage Control, and the NXT Women's Tag Champions, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, are also going to SmackDown, where we have Becky Lynch, Imperium, Matt Riddle, Drew McIntyre, The Miz, Shinsuke Nakamura, and the NXT Women's Champ Indy Hartwell being drafted to Raw. So you guys, tell me what you were thinking about the draft so far and what predictions or what ideas you may have for the draft that's coming up on Raw Monday.
I think they have some impressive rosters. I'm kind of curious what they're going to do with the Usos and what that angle is going to be with them not being drafted with the rest of the bloodline and not winning the world tag titles. So I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to go. I was kind of disappointed at first about Cody and Roman being split. My thoughts on that is keep them apart for now. You've got him going after Lesnar. He's going to fight Lesnar. Keep him away from the world. And that's another thing. The world title, the new world title going to Raw and Cody going to Raw, that worried me. But I think if he decides to stay away from that and say, hey, I've got unfinished business with Roman, and somehow, some way, we are going to finish it one of these days. And then we just kind of move away from it, have Cody do his own thing on Raw, and then win the Rumble again next year, and we have a rematch, then I will be fine with that. That would make the Cody and Roman story worth it. If they get the rematch at Mania, we would have to see him wait a year, and then he goes after the title. But as far as the rest of the draft, I think we've got some really good rosters with Bianca going to SmackDown. Of course, we know Rhea's going to go to Raw. And wait, Bianca did go to SmackDown, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she went to SmackDown.
Yeah, so Rhea's going to go to Raw, of course, and they're going to have a title switch, I'm sure. And if Rhea's going, that means Judgment Day is going as well. So, interesting. I just hope they keep also LA Knight and Austin Theory off the same brand. The reason being is I think these are your future leaders of the company. These are your future top stars, and they need time away from one another to develop. What Austin Theory is to Raw, LA Knight should be to SmackDown. And I don't want them clashing with one another. So they both need room to breathe and grow. As long as they're on separate brands and they're both getting pushed, I'm happy.
I heard Theory's going to SmackDown because they took Gunther on Raw, so they can't have the other belts. Got to go the other way.
Oh yeah,
that's
that makes
more
sense.
likely. That's more likely
Very
the case
likely.
with that.
So if Theory's going to SmackDown, then LA Knight should be going to Raw. And yeah, I mean, you've got 3 hours to push them.
And I wish they had done it where they had general managers again. I mean, they just kind of had like honorary people out there giving the picks or whatever. It was kind of cool. But when I saw Teddy Long, I was like, it'd be great if they had a general manager for each. Like, I guess is Adam Pearce really kind of like a general manager for everything now? Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's kind
Pretty
of
much.
it's not general manager. I forget what the position title is, but pretty much, yeah.
WWE official.
WWE official. He's pretty much Jack Tunney, yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. And a notable pick, not extremely notable, but NXT Women's Champion Indy Hartwell also drafted to Raw. But my thing with it is, for the most part, I may have to reserve my right to judgment for the most part. But as long as Cody they can use him to like put over other guys, then that's fine. But I do have a concern with, are they going to throw the world title on him? We did discuss that. But if they put him towards it and then have someone beat him, and let's say Seth Rollins beats him, just for sake of the argument, I'm good with that.
I'm not, because that makes him look bad, because how is he supposed to be a strong title contender and he's lost to not one but two champions now? I don't think
that's the plan.
He needs to be away from from that new title altogether. Just don't even compete for it.
And
I think this is Drew McIntyre's to win, to tell the truth.
Yeah, I like
good point.
Yeah.
Strong champion, right?
Yeah.
I would have said Seth, but Drew never really got a chance to hold the world title for the fans. He was a pandemic champion. I feel kind of bad about that.
Yes.
So I'd be fine with that too.
Great point. And one concern I have is, and this is just something I just thought about, I believe this is the second time in the last two drafts where one champion gets drafted by the other brand. So we're having, for the second time in 3 years, a title exchange.
Well, they do that a lot.
Yeah, that is kind of weird. Now my only thing is, because of the bloodline storyline that got going on, are you going to split the Usos from KO and Sammy? At this point, was the blow off was the SmackDown match that they had the blow off for the storyline between them as tag team, or are you going to draft them to the same show? And it would be interesting to see if the Usos are drafted to Raw. How does that play into the whole bloodline storyline, especially if KO and Sammy end up going to SmackDown? How does that all fit together?
They would wrestle on both shows, right? Because they have the belts for those shows, correct?
So, I mean, that would make sense. But here's my thing. Why do you give the brand, let's say Raw or whatever brand Roman isn't on, why do they get a new world title but they have to defend the titles on both shows. That doesn't make sense storyline wise.
Nah. There probably will be brand exclusive. I have a feeling
when they
just like Roman.
Yeah, if you're going to have someone win both belts, then you need to have an exit strategy as well. You know, how are we going to get both these belts off these guys?
Here's my thing. Do you think Triple H came up with the idea of instituting the draft again like this, or maybe? Or do you think this was something in the works while he was doing creative, especially up until and through WrestleMania?
I don't know. I mean,
it's hard to say.
It's hard to say. You know, the draft could have been Vince. It could have been it could be Triple H's way of getting certain guys where he wants them. I think the draft, now that I think about it, may have been Triple H's idea. I think he has a plan of where he wants certain guys and what storylines he wants to move on with. This whole world title thing, I don't think was him. I think this was a Vince thing, and he just got pushed out there to present it.
Now,
right. But I think, go ahead.
Now, my thing is now with the draft, you're going to have another back to the whole title exchange thing with the ladies. So if we're going to keep doing this, what's the point of having one women's title exclusive to like have a Raw women's title now, then literally a SmackDown women's title? Hell, you could, at that point, you may as well just name it something else, maybe like the women's championship or the world heavyweight women's championship or something like that.
They'll have a women's intercontinental. I'm with you. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
I mean, a women's mid-card title would make sense if they pushed their women like that.
Right.
I mean, who would you, if you have a women's, and then would you have one for both brands? Then you've got two titles on top of the two they already have.
I mean, because think about it like this. Look at AEW, how they basically have a secondary women's title, and yet who gets more Jade gets more of the attention just because she's Jade, but as a whole, they're not getting pushed on their side nowhere near as much as, say, you're seeing Rhea, Bianca being in prominent storylines, but even outside of those two, you're not seeing the big push amongst below that. Even with the women's tag team titles, they're not being pushed hard like that. So,
by the way, she go over. She's starting to go over. She probably should have lost the tie. Who's going to beat her? Nobody. They don't have anybody. So you got some magic person hidden somewhere in the back. She's beating everybody, hasn't she?
Pretty much. I mean, I hope they have an exit plan for that too. If you're going to give someone this big reign, and who are you going to beat to? And I don't think they're going to bring someone in to beat her. You know, they're not going to bring in, and I wouldn't either. I wouldn't bring in a top star, you know, Taya or, you know, someone who's new to the company to beat her. I would have one of their established stars, someone they've been building up in the company, to be the one that finally beat her and make a new star. I'm all for Willow. I'm all for whatever happened to Mercedes Martinez. Is she still with them?
Well, she was Ring of Honor champion at one time, and then she lost to Athena, right?
And then she left. Yeah.
Oh man, she was pretty tough. I liked her.
She lost to Athena, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. I think.
Yeah, she did. She did.
That's a Ring of Honor.
So,
yeah, I don't know what she's gonna be like 2000 by the time it's over.
I mean, that's a really
this
good
is
question.
Basically
who would beat Jade?
I mean, I can't think of anybody unless she wrestles like that.
I had this big argument about, they should push a top star, and was getting ready to start naming names. I'm like, okay, Willow, what other babyface women do they have?
I mean, other than Britt, but she's a main eventer, so she's probably
it's not going to be Britt. Jamie is the champion. Sheeta,
that ladder was your best bet at one time.
Yeah.
But now it's like, but at this point, do we need to see Jay actually forget the TBS title and just challenge for the AEW World title?
Rules, yeah.
Option C,
It may
almost.
be that time.
I don't know.
But you know, we've gone off on the tangent, you know, who switched from the draft over to AEW women wrestling, but as a whole. But it's gonna be interesting to see how with the draft on Monday and possible a supplemental Raw draft afterwards to kind of see this formulation of the storylines that could possibly come from the switching around of the rosters. So why don't you guys tell us, do you think the Raw draft, I mean the SmackDown draft Friday went well? Do you think the Raw draft we go a particular way? Do you have confidence in how the shakeup in rosters will actually have a positive effect on storylines going into the future? So be sure to leave a comment down below, like and share this video, hit that notification bell, and subscribe to the channel as always. And check us out next time on Ringside Right Now.